And it's absolutely free. That number for Pet Patrol, 219-362-6144.
Your number one source of news and information in Laporte County is 96.7 The Eagle and HometownNewsNow.com. Welcome to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle, Laporte County's original social media. Sound Off is a public interest forum that encourages your voice to be heard on the topics and issues impacting our local communities. For the next 30 minutes, we invite you to be part of the conversation by calling 219-362-0522. And you can now text your questions to the Liquor Vault on-air line or by email to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the hosts or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media LLC, or the sponsors. The Liquor Vault on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. This is Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Sound Off today on Monday, January 24th. Good to have you. I hope you're nice and warm wherever you're listening to this. Regardless, even if you're cold, glad you're listening. We're going to get you through this next maybe 40 minutes or so talking about some things that are happening here in Laporte County. I've got a couple announcements. First, though, before we get to the show, firstly, I want you to know that the vaccination clinic at the Old Laporte Hospital is closing today at 4 p.m. So if you are going to get your vaccination today or a booster or something like that, know that it will close at 4 p.m. Because of weather and some other things. So I want you to know that. Also, I wanted to give you an update. Again, we're going to be doing some episodes with different primary candidates, these kind of things. I was going to run through some of the most updated list of who's running for elections right now here locally. Obviously, you know those probably that are running for the federal, state kind of offices. Todd Young, for example, is running for re-election. There's a couple candidates against him, including current mayor of Hammond, Indiana, Thomas McDermott. But the ones that you're probably most interested in are U.S. Representative for the 1st District, which now cuts Laporte in half. So half of you, including myself, move from the 2nd District to the 1st District. And we've got incumbent Frank Mervan going against one of the winners of whoever this is, Blair Milo, Jennifer Ruth Green, Mark Leva, who ran for office, I think, in 2020 as well, Tom Madden, Ben Ruiz, and Aaron Storar. That's like 7 Republicans running for that. So we'll see who comes out on top of that. U.S. Representative District 2, that is Jackie Walorski. See, half of you are in that one. I don't think she has a challenger yet. So she's running right now unopposed as an incumbent. State Senator, the District 4, excuse me. We've got Rodney Pohl Jr., who was on the show about a month and a half ago. We got Deb Chubb, Ron Muir, Todd Connor, Johan Pollard. State Representative D8, Ryan Dvorak. Those of you that are in the northeast side of the county are in Ryan Dvorak's. He's running as an incumbent. State Representative D9, Pat Boy versus Dion Bergerson right now. Again, they have to get through their primaries, these kind of things. So, but so far, those are the only two that I've seen that have announced. Pat Boy, Democratic incumbent, versus Dion Bergerson. State Representative D20, that's Republican Jim Pressel. I have not seen anyone that's running against challenging Jim Pressel right now that's filed. Now, that doesn't mean the intention hasn't been there, but I get updates from Heather Stevens, who is our clerk. There's been nobody that has filed technically yet. Circuit clerk, nobody. I don't know if I should just run for it because I have not seen anybody so far run for circuit court, anybody announced. So maybe, again, I'll leave this radio gig and run for circuit court. I've watched a lot of Judge Judy in my days, so I could probably do fairly well there. Prosecuting Attorney John Lake, Laporte County Sheriff. That's an interesting race. It's one that I'm watching very closely. We've got Republican Ron Heeg, who's been on the show, Republican Andrew Morse, Democratic candidate Andy Heineck, Jim Arnold Jr., and Al Ott Jr. is running. So lots of interesting candidates. We're going to get some on the show. If you're interested in being on the show and you're a candidate, do reach out to us. We will, again, be lining those up. We've only got so many shows, but we want to get as many as we can. Today, though, speaking of candidates running for re-election, Center Township Trustee Lisa Pierzakowski, neighbor of the radio station. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I just got a text. Circuit Judge isn't up until 2024. That's why nobody's running.
So I guess you can't run yet.
I'll you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that in my pocket. I'm going to watch a lot more Judge Judy.
There's a couple new ones out there too.
Yeah. There's a lot of judge shows.
Yes.
But I assume if I watch enough of them and I'm charismatic enough on the radio that maybe somebody will vote for me.
I'll vote for you.
Thank you. Awesome.
There's one.
So Lisa, how are you? How is everything at the Center Township Trustee?
We are extremely busy. It's been a very busy weekend.
What's going on? Obviously, I told you yesterday at our church services at Station Community Church, we did pray for those who are homeless right now as they're battling lots of cold weather, snow, these kind of things. Explain to our listeners a little bit, because there's a little bit of one of the things that we talk about at the PAC Center and Center Township Trustee is helping people introduce them to the face of poverty and those who are struggling, because it might look a little different than what people think of. What does homelessness in Laporte County look like?
Well, everybody needs to realize that homelessness is not just somebody living on the street. It's not like we talked about, in Chicago, where there's people living in doorways and stuff like that, although we do have some living in doorways. Homelessness can be couch to couch, house to house. I'll give you an example. This weekend, I think it's like 11:30 at night, I received a phone call from the city police department, and they had a young lady that had been involved in something going on at the house, and they had been out there several times, and they're like, we need some place to put her for tonight. So basically, she's homeless. She was kicked out of her home. So I was able to get her in the hotel for the night, and then we, work the next day to see what we do from there. Well, this particular one didn't wait around for the next day, so it was night in the hotel, and who knows where she's at now. But the goal would have been to see what's going on, what services she needs, and then get her into the shelter if possible. Yesterday I had a call from the hospital, and a lady had been discharged but had no place to go, and of course they're not going to discharge her out into the streets. So they called, and I was like, what can you do? So had to go find out exactly what's going on and have a plan of action for her. But she's in the hotel for right now, and we'll go from there. But each day we get phone calls, or somebody walking in the door, hey, I don't have a place to live. Or a lot of them are saying right now, I'm staying with my sister, I'm staying with my brother. I had a mom bring in her son, and she's like, he's got till the end of the month, and then he's got to go. He's been here long enough. Sure. And, what can you do? What kind of services can you give to him to help him get into housing? And as we both know, there's no housing in Laporte right now. I mean, we are so short on housing. Yeah,
that's in every economic level, right? There's just a shortage on housing all over the place. So you don't see people moving and upgrading their houses right now, which could maybe offer a new house for those who are in low-income housing. You just don't see it right now.
Right, and that's why, with the eviction program, because I'm handling 20 of the 21 townships for the eviction for Laporte County right now, and our job is to try to keep them housed, because if we don't keep them housed, where are they going to go? Yeah. Because there's not that next apartment, there's not that next house to rent. So, we have our regular day-to-day rent, NIPSCO, and water. We have our regular day-to-day case management, and then throw on top of it all the homelessness and all the evictions and everything else. And we're just a very, very busy office. But I have the best staff in the world. I'm telling you, I could not do half the stuff without my staff and the community support, because I know it's great to pick up the phone and, hey, PAC Center, what do you guys got? Mm-hmm. What can you help with? Salvation Army, First Step, and stuff like that. Working with the homeless community, or the homeless committee that we've had, because we were looking for a shelter again this year, and it's not going to work out. So what's the next plan of action and stuff like that? So, we're just extremely busy. And if anybody knows of any apartments that are rental available right now, let me know, because we have a list of probably about 20 people on our.
And one of the things that's interesting about that is, you do some case management. You do some case management. And so for those that might have housing, they can approach you, and you might have a good match between those who have housing and those who need housing, correct?
Oh, yes.
So that's one of the benefits of coming to you and say, hey, I have this apartment, or I have this place, because, you do know a lot of these clients that need housing, and so you can tell these owners of these houses, this would be a great fit for you, right?
Well, and, we have had a couple of particular landlords in the past that will only work through our office, and that's because they know they're going to have the case management, and with that is budgeting. So we're making sure that, this client is working. And right now they're coming into my office every week and we're budgeting with them. So at the end of the month, their rent money is going to be here. And that's okay. We'll give them a second try because they've had evictions in the past. So a lot of times our case management is not just getting them into an apartment, but it's 6 months to a year working with them on budgeting and stuff like that. We have clients right now that come in, we help them to make sure that they're getting their medication, making sure that they're getting their meds boxes filled and, stuff, and make sure they're getting the right amounts, or helping them contact the CVS and Walmart or Walgreens and stuff like that to get them into packets and stuff like that. Case management, trying to make sure that they're getting into their counseling sessions and stuff like that. And that's why, like we talked about the 701, it's going to be great when it opens, but I really, truly hope that there's some type of case management going on there, because I would hate to see that end up the way it was when it closed.
Yeah. So we do talk a lot, and I have different, and I know you're a listener to the show. We have different politicians that come on, different community leaders that talk about low-income housing. Often, you're intimately involved in low-income housing. What are some of the things that maybe you would like to see in our community for low-income housing, other than just availability, these kind of things? We talk about it, it's a problem to be fixed. I don't necessarily always hear a lot of tangible solutions. What do you think about that?
I have had tons of solutions. I've given those solutions to the higher ups. One of them would be, we have empty schools. And I've showed them pictures of what they've done in North Carolina. I've brought back the information from the tiny villages in Austin, Texas. I work with Homeward Bound, and we are working on some property. And hopefully, something is going to happen soon. But right now, a fine example, an empty school. Each of those classrooms could be made into an apartment. That can be transitional housing. We have a lot of empty houses sitting around that need to be redone. Let's get some of our homeless people, or some people that are, have a drug addiction or something like that. Busy hands, busy minds keeps them off the drinking and the alcohol, the drinking and the drugs and stuff like that. Let's get them together with some carpenters or construction people and start fixing up some of these houses and use those for transitional housing. Transitional housing means you're working with them, paying a very low amount of rent, but you're working with them to save to get into their own permanent housing.
Yeah, so partner with a program like the Problem Solving Court or something like this, right, where it's a holistic approach to getting people's lives back on track, right?
And I get lots of calls from the judges in the different courts and stuff. It's like, those clients been in and out of court. This client's been, and what can we do to help? What's the next step we can work with them to, help them get to the next step?
It's interesting because you talk about schools and things like that. I know in South Bend they did the old Central High School and renovated into apartments, and it's kind of interesting, right? It's an interesting concept and everything. One of the things that people have talked about too is it's not just those. You can also subsect some of our low income community as well, and do one just for low income elderly people, right?
Exactly.
I mean, there are those kind of things as well that. Again, because the face of what people think of as low income is, it's all over. It encompasses people with kids, single moms, older adults that are living on a very limited Social Security. So,
you look at the Social Security income right now. It was $794. It's now, I believe, it went up to $849. You're paying $700 in rent. That leaves you with $149 to pay your NIPSCO, your water, and stuff like that. So we're constantly looking for apartments. Like we have, I just actually moved a young man. My husband and I moved a young man into an apartment this weekend, and his rent is $650 a month. I mean, he can afford more than that, but this is his first apartment after other things that had gone on, and everything's included. So that's $650, everything included. That's something that somebody's on SSI could afford at $849, but there's not too many of those available. So that's another thing, with the transitional housing, usually everything is included. Mm-hmm. So they come in and they're renting that space, whether it be $50 a week, $100, something like that. And then you're budgeting with them. And it's all about the case management. I cannot stress that enough. It's all about case management. And that's why with the transitional housing, like in a school or something like that, who's ever running that would be that case manager, or you would bring other people in. And while you have them there, you have congregated bathrooms and kitchen and stuff like that. So then you be offering more programs. Like I could bring the Crockpot Fridays in, teach them how to cook a meal for $5 and under in a crock pot.
Some gardening stuff.
Take them over there to the garden, stuff like that. Hey, you've got that building over there. Let's get some transitional housing going in that building right there.
There we go.
So,
All right. Well, we've got Lisa Pierzakowski, Center Township Trustee, on the show today. If you've got a question for Lisa, you're welcome to call us at 219-362-0522. Please do call us and let us know, or you can text us as well to that same number. The Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. We're going to take our first break of the day, and then we're going to get to, I see some callers. We're going to get to your calls as soon as we get back. Keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Car problems often strike at the absolute worst times, but you can rest well knowing that Cannon's Automotive Service is here for you and dedicated to get you back on the road with prompt, efficient, same-day service. The same Cannon's commitment that Laporte has trusted for over 50 years. Cannon's Automotive Service, now with 2 locations, 710 Tyler Street and 909 Boyd Boulevard.
With Cannon's Automotive, we fix everything.
A life worth celebrating should be honored in a fashion fitting for the personality. At Haverstock, they build a service around the life story of your loved one. Here's Richard Weiss, owner of Haverstock Funeral Home.
At Haverstock Funeral Home, let me personalize your family's life story. Life celebrations can be a fisherman, a golfer, love Christmas, enjoy the casinos having our slot machine on display, a baker, car mechanic, or even an Elvis impersonator. We do it all for you to keep the memory of your loved one with you forever. Please visit our Facebook page to see what we're doing.
Haverstock Funeral Home and Cremation Service, portraying the life story of your loved one. Learn more at haverstockfuneralhome.com or stop by 602 Maple Avenue, Laporte.
Stuck in a job that sucks? Here's another job opportunity from HometownNewsNow.com.
Master Roll has first shift opportunities for maintenance, machinists, and general laborers. Master Roll in New Carlisle offers flexible start times, voluntary weekend overtime, competitive benefits including medical, PTO, 401k, training, tuition, and more. Interviews on site Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, or apply at master-roll.com.
This has been a Jobs Spotlight Extra. Look under Hot Topics at HometownNewsNow.com for job details.
The forecast on 96.7 The Eagle brought to you by Harmon Expert Auto Service. If you're looking for a local and quality auto repair company, then look no further than Harmon Expert Auto with 2 locations in Laporte, 308 Washington or 111 Brighton Streets. Visit their website at harmonexpertautoservice.com or call 325-0444.
Michiana weather.
A winter weather advisory continues until noon tomorrow. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with snow likely. High of 29. West winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. Right now, 25.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling or texting the Liquor Vault on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back, friends. You're listening to Sound Off. My name's Nate Laux. We've got Center Township Trustee Lisa Pierzakowski on the show with us today. If you have a question, the Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. You're welcome to call or text me. Let's get to our first caller. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. What's your question for Lisa?
Yes, are you there?
Yeah, yep, you're on.
Yeah, I'd like to know if Lisa's father was the one that recommended Michael Christensen to her office.
All right. Thanks so much for calling. No? All right. So let's get to another caller. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thanks for calling. What's your question for Center Township Trustee Lisa Pierzakowski?
Okay. I think some of the main problems with housing all across the United States is not enough, less regulations for landlords, and more positive participation by judges, prosecuting attorneys, and law enforcement. I think there needs to be a massive change. They need to set up a program with landlords so law enforcement and the courts back them up 100%, and let it be supervised by law enforcement so there's none of these petty lawsuits against landlords. It's a major, major deal. A lot of people know it. There's too much wimping out when you have to deal with these with crummy tenants. That's it.
All right. Thanks so much for calling. You know, it's interesting, Lisa. You work with a lot of tenants. There's some really great landlords in Laporte County, and I will say there are some not so great landlords in Laporte County too.
Exactly. Yeah. It works both ways. And you know, I've talked to some of the landlords, and I've seen pictures of what some of the apartments look like. The downstairs apartment of where I just moved this young man into, I'm like, how does somebody, first of all, not pay your rent for like the last 3 or 4 months, but how do you trash somebody else's house that doesn't belong to you? It's so disheartening. I mean, to me, I've always been told if it's not yours, you treat it like it would be yours, and you respect it. But it's sad.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, and the harder thing anyway, is it is hard for those who have low income rentals units. There is a smaller margin for profit, right? Rather than if you're doing a $1,500 a month house or something like this, and so. A lot of people are saying, I'll just upgrade my house to get to the next income level for rental, and then I don't have to worry about low income rental. Now I will say, to assume that every low income renter is a bad renter that is not true at all.
No, I have this one gentleman that I was really super nervous about getting him into an apartment because I really didn't know him, and I put him in, and I'm sorry, you guys. I know you're both guys, but
no, it's okay.
I totally did not expect when I walked into this apartment to see how awesome it was. I mean, it looked better than my house. I mean, he keeps it clean. It was decorated. I was just like, wow. So you just don't know.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's get to another caller. Thanks so much for calling the show today. We've got Lisa Pierzakowski with us in the studio. What's your question for the Center Township trustee?
Basically concerning the transitional housing. You said the Social Security for fixed income is what, about $850 a month?
Yes.
Okay, and now they're proposing another tax on top of these people's limited income for the county and city. And then also, who these churches, or not churches, but these abandoned houses or these abandoned schools, who takes care of the responsibility, the liability of that if someone gets hurt? Because especially in this day and age, it only takes $50 to file a lawsuit. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
So I guess you're talking about my suggestion to have people come in and help with that. Most agencies have insurance. So like my agency, if I was to require workfare, I would have insurance if somebody was to get hurt doing that, whether it be in my office or at the cemetery or something like that. So, I mean, we definitely would make sure that there was insurance involved.
All right, let's get to another caller here. Thanks so much for calling the show. We've got Center Township trustee Lisa Pierzakowski on the show. What's your question for the trustee?
Hello, is that me?
Yeah, that's you. Thanks so much for calling.
Hi, how you doing, Nate?
Good.
This is Chris Throgmorton.
Hi, Chris.
I simply have one question for Mrs. Pierzakowski, and I would like to know, in regards to Michael Christensen, this nonprofit that was filed with the state, she said she didn't know anything about. It looks like it was some time before the address for this nonprofit was changed. So I guess my one question is, was Lisa Pierzakowski checking the mail for the trustee's office, and she did know what mail was coming there, or was Michael Christensen tasked with checking the mail for the trustee's office, who was a felon?
All right, thanks so much for calling. Lisa, do you have any comment on that?
I'm not sure as far as what address that would be. So I would have to know, and I will tell you that most of those questions have been answered, questions asked and answered by him.
All right, thanks so much for calling. Let's get to another call for Lisa Pierzakowski. We've got Center Township trustee Lisa Pierzakowski on the show. You're online with her. What's your question?
Hello, is that me?
Yep.
Sorry. I missed part of the show, so I hope this isn't a repeat question.
It's okay.
I've been on disability for a couple of years, and I was able to get into part of the end of a program where an apartment building's owner carried a tax break of some kind so that they were able to keep the rent lower for those of us who don't make much at all. And I wondered if that's still in our city. Is that whole program still going on? And how would I go about, because mine's due to end, and I'd like to try to get into a different apartment building.
That's a great question, because we have been notified by a couple of different people that there's an apartment complex that is ending, I believe, at the end of 2024. That is state and federal, so I would recommend that you contact the Michigan City Housing Authority and see if they can answer that question, because I am not sure which other agencies. We didn't realize that one of those apartment complexes actually had that. We didn't really find out about it till we called a couple days ago. My deputy had called and we were asking because we were really confused why their lease wasn't showing that it was Section 8, because it's actually not Section 8. It has to do with a tax break. So I wish I could help you on that, but I really don't know.
And there are different, again, contact your legislator, these kind of things. There's obviously different bills and different ideas being debated right now. And your legislator in Indiana, they're in a legislative session. So if you have an idea for some of those things, again, a lot of that is done on the state or the federal level, and then it kind of bleeds down onto the local level from us. A lot of the funding, though, mechanisms are done without any input from local agencies. They're just, essentially programs that we inherit to run. All right, so thanks so much for calling, everyone. If you've got a question, the Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. We've got Lisa Pierzakowski on the show today. We're going to take our next break for the show. Keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Ben Conowitz here, Laporte Seamless Gutter, 219-362-9972. Fall is here, and that means leaves and debris for your gutter system. We've got 3 separate types of gutter guard for your home. Leaves and debris come in all shapes and sizes. We don't need a one-size-fits-all for your gutter. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com.
Stuck in a job that sucks? Here's another job opportunity from HometownNewsNow.com.
Lewis Bakeries at 800 Boyd Boulevard in Laporte is hiring with a starting wage of $19.05 an hour. Overtime after 8 hours is $28.57. You are paid weekly with holidays, personal time, vacation time, and did we mention the incredible benefits? Scheduled interviews through the week and open interviews every Friday, 8 a.m. until 2 p.m.
This has been a Jobs Spotlight Extra. Look under Hot Topics at HometownNewsNow.com for job details.
Are you in the auction scene but unsure how to dive back in once this COVID thing took over? The auction business has changed. Check out the Lighthouse Estate Management website for secure online auction fun. Click the online auction tab. Large, clear, easy to see photos of a wide variety of merchandise, secure bidding, and easy to follow instructions on bidding and pickup. Easy to shop and see what you may not be able to live without. Find them on the web, Lighthouse Estate Management, LLC.
Have an anniversary coming up? Enter the Tradio Anniversary Club. Every weekday at 9:30 a.m., we read all the anniversaries for the day, and every Friday, one lucky couple will receive a $20 gift certificate to Tony Floral and Gifts. To enter, go to 967theeagle.com and click the Submit tab and enter your information right there. Or write the couple's name, address, phone number, and anniversary date on a 3x5 card and mail it or drop it off here at the Radio Center, 1700 Lincoln Way Place, Suite 5. The Tradio Anniversary Club, every weekday at 9:30 a.m. on 96.7 The Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to Sound Off. You can now text or email your questions directly to the studio. Call or text 362-0522 or email your questions to soundoff at 967theeagle.com. This is Sound Off.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to Sound Off today. My name's Nate Laux. We've got Center Township Trustee Lisa Pierzakowski on the show. Hey, one of the things I want to talk about a little bit that you've mentioned, because I don't know if anybody, or if our listeners know this well, you said there's an importance, especially for 701 Maple here in downtown Laporte. I know in Michigan City they need some more. What is this idea of case management that you talk about? Because obviously sometimes we think of Swanson Center case management and mental health, but this is a little bit different. What kind of case management do you do, and what kind of case management do you think the city needs?
So when I'm talking about like 701, I'll use that for an example. So they need to have somebody that's maybe a case manager in their Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and making sure that, the apartments are being cleaned, making sure that they're taking their medication, making sure that they're going to work, making sure that you're accessible if they're struggling in something. They might not know how to wash clothes. They might not know how to clean a bathroom. It's just a matter of being there. So when they are struggling with something, you're there to help them, not judge them, there to help them, walk side by side with them and work with them. And, medication, that's a really big one with medication, because people are on medication for different things, whether it be mental health or, heart problems, stuff like that. But a lot of the people with mental health get to the point at some time where their medicine needs to be changed, and they're still taking their medicine, but then all of a sudden their their body changes and they need to have their medicine upped or lowered. And so what they do is they stop taking the medicine because they're like, well, it's not working, or it's making me feel this way or make me feel that way. So if you have somebody working with them, making sure that they're taking their medication each day, and all of a sudden you see that their medicine box has 3 days worth of medicine, they haven't taken it. Hey, what's going on? Why are you not taking your medicine? Well, it makes you feel this way, or it does this. Well, let's get you into your doctor and talk to them and see what's going on. And a case manager is there to help them call about Social Security. I can't tell you how many times we call Social Security somebody. Food stamps. How many times do people lose their food stamps because they forgot to send a form in? We can call, we can sit there with them and go through that process with them. Oh, they forgot to send in their pay stubs. Okay, we're going to fax their pay stubs in for them, stuff like that. It's just a matter of walking hand in hand with them.
Again, sometimes for some of these programs, for great programs, they can be intimidating to go through them alone. And so,
Right.
helping people go through them with somebody that says, I know how to do this, right? It's interesting that you say, medication and things like this. I was recently talking to an emergency room nurse, and they were telling me the thing that they see most is, residents here in Laporte County that come to the emergency room because they weren't taking their medicines, and now they're all messed up because of it, right? And that is a big deal. That's big, in regardless of the income level. But I know of many, of our residents and neighbors that struggle with emotional, mental problems, and if they're on their medicine, everything seems fine. But as soon as they're off their medicine, things can go crazy for them, right? I mean, they can be really hard, and they can be really hard to navigate for them. And you feel so terribly. And so having somebody there that can say, I want to help you make sure that you're taking your medicine is a big deal.
And that's a big one. But I'll just bring up my grandmother. I can remember my grandma saying, I've been trying to call this place and they're telling me punch one, punch this, punch that. It's the same thing with our clients. They'll come in and it's like, I've been on hold for 20 minutes and I can't get anybody, or it tells me to punch this and it gives me someplace else. So it's just a matter of going through sometimes to get them to the right person, and then, okay, now you can talk to this person. I'm going to step out.
Yep, exactly.
So,
all right, let's get to another caller. Thanks so much for calling. Thanks for being on the show today. What's your question for Center Township Trustee Lisa Pierzakowski?
Yeah, Lisa, this is Debbie Moss. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
First off, I want to tell you that I thank you for all the work you do. That's why I keep bringing bags by to you.
Thank you.
But I want to also tell you that the negativity that's out there, ignore it. I don't understand who you hire or why you hire them, that it's anybody's concern but you and that person. I don't get that. Number 3, I want to let you know, and I'm not related to them, but I want to let you know that there is somebody that is a good landlord, and he might have some places open. How does he reach you?
You can reach me at my office at 219-362-2736. Or
2736.
Yes, or my cell is 219-851-8739. And thank you very much. I appreciate that.
8739?
Yes.
You know what? I thank you, because the rare ones are out there, but they're good people. I know him because he rents to my 2 daughters.
Yep.
And I've seen him do a lot of exceptional things for her. I myself am a homeowner in debt the rest of my life, paying off a house on a mortgage, but they're renting. Sometimes you wonder if people that rent aren't smarter. But, Nate, how was your Christmas?
Oh, it was great. We had a great time. My kids loved it. We wish there was a little more snow. Like I wish all the snow we got now was right at Christmas time, but I'm blessed. So thanks so much for calling.
I've got a 13-year-old that always loves the snow, and right now he's trying to figure out why they can't have school while they have snow, too, because he loves them both.
That's good.
So
That's good.
I hope he figures it out someday. But you guys, once again, thank you, Nate, for the show you put on, and Lisa, thank you for what you do.
Thanks so much for calling. I appreciate it. All right, let's get to another caller. Thanks so much for calling. We've got Lisa Pierzakowski on the show. What's your question?
Yeah, Lisa, last summer you talked to Dennis on the morning show about a building on Jefferson Avenue that you were buying.
Oh, no, yes, it was a building that I was looking at, but I did not get that building.
Oh, I see. Where was that located? Can you tell me?
It was on Jefferson by Fifth Third Bank.
Fifth Third.
Yeah, it was the old escape room.
The escape room. Oh,
Yes.
that building. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. That used to be Zimmerman Paint, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep,
yeah,
that was the
Trapp,
building.
well, Trapp. Yeah, Jim Trapp bought it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks so much for calling. Again, we're talking about just different things that are happening with the Center Township Trustee, homelessness, low-income housing, these kind of things. I appreciate the caller that called in and said, again, one of the things is connecting resources. It's one of the things that you do with your clients, but also if people know of something that's available, again, call. Don't assume somebody knows. Don't assume Lisa knows. Call into Lisa and let her know, and maybe she can help somebody get the housing that they need. One of the things that we talk on the show about is the mental health crisis that we have, and this isn't just in Laporte County; it's everywhere. How do you see it in the work that you do?
Oh my goodness, that's something we've been discussing, like on the home team and stuff like that. We're actually seeing more mental health illness in our office than we are actually with the addictions, which totally flip-flopped because it wasn't like that. It was more addictions, but we're seeing a lot more of the mental health come in. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I don't have any idea. But I will tell you that with the COVID and people being stuck at home in the same house all the time with the same people all the time, I have seen a lot of depression. And once you get into the depression, it starts leading to other things. So the mental health is a big issue. And as you know, with some of our homeless people, because you have a lot of the same, clients that come into PAC Center in your church, the same as mine, that's probably 75% of the homelessness right now that we're dealing, the population, the 13 to 16 that I can count right now, a lot of it's mental illness.
And it becomes not impossible, but it does become, the simple platitudes about, let's say, just get a job and everything will be all right. It can be a little bit difficult because, again, somebody with severe, let's say, mental instability or emotional issues certainly can work, and a lot of them do, but finding that right fit for a person can be a little bit more difficult. And so, again, the importance of case management, right, is trying to find the right fit for the right person and make sure that things work out.
And like you said, it's not just one person, it's not just one agency. And I will tell you, I've had the conversation with the mayor, and he gave me the name of another agency, but a lot of the times we try to connect them with a mental health facility, and it's a couple weeks out before we can get them in. First, they have to go through the financial, and then after that, they go in to see a counselor, and sometimes it's 6 weeks or more before they see a doctor. So in the meantime, what's happening with them? So I would love to see, and I know Dan Peck from Swanson has said that they're working on getting boots on the ground, which means trying to get a caseworker out there that's able to, work with the homeless and other offices. I'd love to see them in my office and, work with them hand in hand right away so that maybe we can keep them and get them to the right place, because a lot of times they'll come in and they'll say, I'm ready to get the help I need, but we can't get them in right away, and then we lose them. And if we don't get them in right away to that facility where they need to go, if we lose them, then we're starting all over again in 6 weeks.
Yeah, State Senator Mike Bohacek was just on the show on Friday, and he talks a little bit about there is oftentimes to help someone, there is sometimes a small window for that engagement, right?
Right.
Which is, again, the importance of case management. If somebody's checking on them, hopefully they can get in that window of they're having a hard night. They're trying to, they're debating whether or not they're going to go back into their addiction. They just need somebody to check on them and say, you're going to be okay. You're going to get through the night kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
All right, here's a question we received through our text line. Okay, I have a question. Would the trustee be able to help find a doctor, because I have a doctor that refuses to refill my medication and I haven't had any of my pills since October? Is there something that the trustee could help with or not?
Well, if you're not able to get into your doctor right now, what we've been recommending is people go over to HealthLink, because not only, can usually somebody get into HealthLink to see somebody, but if they can't, they can recommend you to another agency. So right now, that's what we're doing basically. But if you're in need of your medication and you can't get into your doctor and it's a medication for heart or something like that, I'd be going to some type of urgent care, because but there again, it depends on what type of medicine and what type of doctor you're talking about.
Yeah, obviously there's different federal regulations on some medicines, especially with pain medicines, these kind of things. And so it all depends on what type of medicine it is, right? But there are a lot of doctors out there. So
exactly.
You can always try, and again, try HealthLink. Well, I'm going to give you the final word, Lisa. What do you want our listeners to know?
My phone number is 219-362-2736. Right now, we are doing the evictions for 20 of the 21 townships. So if you're facing an eviction right now and you're not in Michigan Township, you can contact our office at 219-362-2736. We'll work with you. Otherwise, if you're in Center Township, we can help you with rent, NIPSCO, and water. Also, if you're struggling to get your application further for the IndianaHousingNow.org, again, give my office a call. I'm happy to email the state to see where your application is at. But I will tell you the number one problem we're seeing with those applications right now is the wrong landlord is being put in. Because if you live in a complex like the Commons, it's really not the Commons, it's another name. So give my office a call and we'll see what we can do to help you. We're here to help.
And again, if you have any rentals available or you'd like to talk about, partnering with Lisa because you have rentals, certainly call you as well, right?
Exactly. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you again for being on the show today. We're going to, again, be back on Friday. We're going to have a conversation, just a topic conversation on the lit tax, the local income tax that's being debated here in the county and the city. It's a tax that will ultimately benefit the law enforcement and first responders, and there's lots of debate on again whether or not this is a good thing or not. I know our listeners have different opinions on it, so on Friday we're going to be back on that, talking about that. And so if you'd like to have a conversation with that, we hope you continue to listen. If you'd like to know a little bit more about it, again, listen on Friday. You can always find Sound Off on our podcast on hometownnewsnow.com or on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. I want to thank you so much for listening. Be good to yourself, be good to others, and keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound